Hey, Wemberg World Entertainment, and episode 9 of Monarch Legacey of Monsters is here, and we get some Godzilla, we get Titan X, and of course we get Kong. We also get a new Titan, or creature of some sort, which was an interesting addition. So, we're on Skull Island in this one. That's where Titan X was going to, because that's where her egg was being brought to by Isabella Simmons. We still don't quite know whether she's with Monarch or not Monarch, Apex. It doesn't seem like it. She seems to have this idea of using Access Mundi as like a time traveling portal. She thinks they can open a rift and sustain it to keep it open and basically go through it and see the future and stuff. Whereas Kentaro is with her, and he seems to be fully with her now, but he seems to be under the impression that they can use it to go back in time and save their father, which I don't think you can. I'm not 100% sure. This is where when Shaw was able to speak with younger Shaw, it was kind of implicating, are you able to go backwards in this thing or not? Because everything else we've been shown from it shows, no, you can't, you have to go forward. But that's what their plan is. So Tim and May and Shaw, obviously older Shaw, and Keiko and stuff are going to Skull Island and are going to try and find Cate and Kentaro. They don't know who's actually taking the egg right now. They know it's not Monarch and they know it's not Apex. They're not sure who it is though and what the purpose is. Now the episode opens in the breach, you know, the big storm that's around Skull Island, with Titan X in the water coming through that with Godzilla following her, and then the Monarch ship following Godzilla. And then Titan X gets to Skull Island and climbs up on a big rock and looks back at Godzilla, and Godzilla stops and stands up and roars at her. And then Shaw's like, okay, big guy, finish the job. And he doesn't. You know, Godzilla's just standing there, and they're all getting confused about, like, why isn't he going on to Skull Island? You know, why isn't he attacking and finishing off Titan X? And I think it was May who said, like, he's hardly afraid of Kong, is he? And Shaw says, you know, Godzilla's not afraid of anything. And it's Keiko who realizes he's done exactly what all you guys said he's here to do, which is restore balance. All he had to do was get Titan X to the island, because that's where the rift is, that it can go home. That's all Godzilla had to do. He doesn't have to fight it anymore. He got it back to the island where it's meant to be, to go back home. So Godzilla leaves. He's off. But then, of course, and that's good that they didn't put Kong on Skull Island, or sorry, Godzilla on Skull Island, because as we know, him and Kong never came face to face until Kong was taken off of Skull Island. So Titan X is now on the island. This is also when we find out basically some of Isabella's plan, which is this: we're going to use Titan X to open the rift, then we're going to try and keep it open, and we can basically go back and forth as we want. Cate is trying to convince Kentaro, like, what the hell you doing? Like, this is a stupid idea and Dad wouldn't want to see us like this. But they're trying to go and get her off. So while they're there, of course, Monarch follows, and May has a tracking device because they have the tracker in Titan X. And of course, Keiko starts asking Shaw, like, how did you get a tracker onto the thing? And he's like, very carefully. And she's like, I don't understand. He goes, to be honest with you, I don't quite understand it myself. And he doesn't explain it there and then. He says, I'll try and explain to you, but not now. And so he's obviously going to tell her, like, I was speaking with my younger self and convinced my younger self to do it. So they're on a mission, and as they're walking through the forest, they stumble across these new things, which were like giant praying mantises. Until they weren't, because their whole underside of their stomach is like teeth. It's like a big mouth, and it's just as soon as you see Monarch arrive on the island, there's like 2 boats and just a ton of people getting out. You're just like, here comes the appetizer and the buffet, And that's exactly what they all pretty much became. These things just lift you up and eat you. It's like they don't even give a second thought. They just grab you, lift you up, and straight into the mouth. And it's like, oh, okay. We're never told what they are or anything like that. They don't describe them or anything. There doesn't seem to be any documents about these things. We see them this once and they wreak havoc. So it was like, okay, these things are nuts. Titan X does arrive to her egg, but they set off this mist stuff that knocks it out. They're just not sure how long it's sedated for. But then I didn't see them do it, or I didn't really catch them saying they're doing it, but apparently they were sticking these like electric shock things in it so that when it wakes up they can basically torture it almost to try and make it open the rifts. But while they're doing that, they find the tracker and remove it. But Cate ends up getting a radio and contacting them and telling them exactly where they are. But while all this is happening, after that attack by those mouth things, Shaw and Keiko get separated from Tim and May, and the last, I think there's only 2 other dudes remaining. So Keiko has a map that Bill had, and it pinpoints all different locations on Skull Island where he believes rifts are, and she's confused and can't figure out why he was so obsessed with going to Skull Island all the time and looking for these rifts. What was it about Skull Island that kept him coming back and made him abandon the kid, which is Hiroshi. And we get flashbacks in this episode. We see him and Bill, that is, and Keiko get married. They got married in Papua New Guinea. We see, she asks Shaw later, like, you know, what happened with everything after Kazakhstan, what changed? And Shaw's like, everything changed. And it goes to young Shaw and him leaving Kazakhstan and Bill not believing that she's gone. We then see him later where he's grown the beard now and he's teaching a class about rifts, or at least his idea for what he thinks rifts could be like. And Zook shows up, Dr. Zuki, and has this thing. It's like a top of a torpedo, really. And Bill takes it off him. Apparently he has loads of these, and we do find out what these are. But he was obsessed, and it turns out what he was doing was he was going to all the areas he believes there's rifts all around the earth. And he's been throwing these things in. They're basically probes. He's been throwing them into all the rifts to see where they come out, and they were coming out on Skull Island. So they find these things, and it has his name and the dates and the areas he's been dropping them in. So it's like 1972 Kazakhstan, 1950 something Madagascar, and all this type of stuff. And Sean, Keiko are like, we're in Grand Central Station, this is the rift. Now how the hell did we get Titan X here? And while all this is happening, of course, Kong is on his way. And Isabella Simmons has a distraction for Kong, which is to have a Chinook helicopter with a signal of the skull crawlers coming out. So he thinks there's skull crawlers, so he'll chase the chopper. And then he sees the chopper and rages out and hears Titan X screaming, because Titan X has woken up and they've started shocking the thing. And now it ends with Cate and Kentaro coming face to face again, where he basically says, we have a chance to save Dad. And that's pretty much where the episode ends. It was another really interesting episode, and it was really interesting because the probes as well that Bill was throwing down into the rifts, he was putting letters into them for Keiko as well. So he never believed that she was gone. But the interesting thing is, how did all of them lead to Skull Island? That's the interesting part. Where this goes next week, I don't know. There was a bit of a kind of moment with this with May. May got a little kind of like she was in the first season to one of the Monarch guys, who he was a bit of a dick. He was being like, oh, do we have to be here? Come on, let's just leave, and blah, blah, blah. But she also kind of pushed him into making sure he refers to Titan X as her, and she needs to be brought back. And like, that's fine, but at the same time, it was just like, you really have to put that in there. But That was it. That was the only kind of negative I'd have towards this episode. But everything else was great. The island looked fantastic. All the creatures looked fantastic. Again, you know, there's nothing to criticize when it comes to the visual effects with any of this show. Shaw was great in this one as well. You know, him going from, come on, Godzilla, kick its ass, to, okay, I guess Godzilla, you guys were right. He did what he had to do. So let's get Titan X home. Was interesting. And it's just interesting to see where this goes. And are they opening up this thing to time travel? Because what does that mean for the future of not just this show, but the movies, if that ends up being introduced? Don't know if it's quite there, but we'll find out next week, I suppose, in the final episode. So, with that, I shall leave it there for this one. So do like and share and subscribe and all that good stuff. Cheers, and I shall catch you in the next one.